Welcome back for our live twin flame joint connection update. Yes, we do host these by subbing. You will get a notification when I do release the masculine, feminine, and karmic. If I do release all three, I do try to do this energy update on a different date. We are behind the scenes getting prepared, so this can be a lot more structured. Now, separately, we already have masculine, feminine, and karmic out, and we do have the super chats weekly. For the super chats, if you do click on the video, you can click the notification bell and it will notify you when we are going live. We also do have the members, which is completely private. And, you know, by joining them, you do get the pre-release content. If you do look on our YouTube platform, you will see that members already have volume 1 and volume 2 out for February. So if you are wanting to get those ahead of the crowd, come through and join, or look at the video that does tell you all about what is included within a YouTube membership. Now, we are going to have a look at the overall energy. The first thing I was saying, and I hope you've got a cuppa, so if you haven't grabbed a cuppa, grab a cuppa, sit back and relax as we channel these messages. The first thing I was spiritually seeing, especially moving into February, is I'm seeing a gate spiritually. I do see that both individuals are at a gate. They're about to open this gate and move into a new chapter. And with this new chapter, there can be some apprehension. And it's funny because we do have the Devil card in reverse at the moment within the joint connection. And we did have a lot of heavy Pluto energy. You know, a lot of... Okay. I've got one person going off on the other, one on the other. Okay, so with the North Node in Aries, you know, for those of you that do watch other channels that maybe do predict the energy connected to the twin flame path, particular channels had been mentioning that the North Node in Aries would be a time of unions. I do believe that is so, but I also do believe the first place, because it is the first house, what we can tend to find is, unless we know who we are, how can we have a relationship? So it is about us actually all leveling up. It's about us having the courage to be disliked. It's about becoming the most authentic version of ourselves. And at times that can be quite triggering. Now, this is the entry point into it. And this year can be quite transformative for all of us collectively, especially when we do get to the second pocket of the nodes, which is the second term of this section. Last year, we had the North Node in Aries. This year, it can become a little bit more extreme. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can be a positive thing where we are actually starting to really have the confidence. We had Aries and Chiron move direct, coming out of shadow. So really having that confidence, but a lot of us still can be very apprehensive and frustrated, especially because last year it did feel as though we were really hitting walls, you know, having a lot of doors closed, but trying to deal with those triggers and feeling quite exhausted. 2024 is a very different vibration, and it is all about success. It is all about moving forward and trying to have the faith and the confidence. Now, I'm noticing through the crowning energy within the joint connection, there are some things that we're purging out of our lives. This also can be coming through in our body. This can be coming through from an emotional point of view. And I do feel there is a detaching. And some of you, this could come through in an intimate fashion. It may be that from an intimate point of view, you are feeling you're wanting something a little bit more traditional. You also suddenly could get to a space where you are also feeling, okay, you know, how can I move this into something more traditional? And do I need something traditional? And it's not to say that's wrong, but there could be a rejection of the intimacy in this at the moment. There's what would I say? Overcoming the feeling of giving into the circumstance. It's almost like kind of giving up on instant gratification and playing for keeps. That's what Spirit's showing me. Now we're looking to the past position here. And there might have been also a lot of conflict within the path, and that could have been due to karmics, due to interferences. Hi, sweet. And with these interferences, this at a point in your journey, depending on where you are, whether you're a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 1s are really moving quite intensely this year, and they will be moving into a brand new cycle. But we do go backwards and forwards, especially in a spiritual path. So Particularly, there could have been some old triggers. This could have been insecurities, feelings that people had power over this situation. When we believe such, usually it is permission based. So we are physically giving that situation permission. Also, what I'm seeing is there could have been some tradition and lineage, something that we were coming into this circumstance with on both sides of the fence, and really holding ourselves to a cross where we had to adhere to it. Now, this could have been for family, could have been due to marriage, whatever the physical situation was. It was too traditional. And it was binding us unnecessarily so. Now, I do see this evolving. We have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in those circumstances within our lives, within the joint connection. Karmic situational ships also may have stayed quite a while, especially if you had a twin and they were dealing with a karmic cycle since 2008. This year can be very intense for them. And it also can be something where they're feeling suddenly almost very strange, almost like, okay, this really isn't resonating with me. I've got to pay the ferryman. I need to resolve this. And there is this feeling at the moment spiritually, divine feminine could be picking up on it, especially because you guys are the intuitive energy. And this could be a feeling of longing. It could be a feeling of victim consciousness. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean to say you're observing the circumstance this way, but you directly could be psychically tuning into the circumstance that individual is directly thinking. You also, there is this conflict going on here. Some of you energetically can be tuning into it in the ethers, and that can be a circumstance where they're trying to get themselves out of a conflicting situation and you directly are tuning into it. There is an offer here. But for some of you, you could be feeling that this offer is a little bit too small. It's a little bit too, it's like a seed that hasn't germinated, and you're feeling the growth in this situation is really required. For some of you, this also can be keeping you up at night. This can be causing a lot of confusion. In your dream state, you could be getting some messages. I also do feel some of you could be getting neck and headaches. And a lot of third eye activation. That's because you could be really tuning into it and purging out. What you are hoping for is for this energy to be an emperor, for this energy to be mature in the way they're going to handle it. But I do feel both parties here in the mix are really looking at goals at the moment. And it can be a little bit testing trying to juggle the old and the new. Now, what do I mean by that? I do believe because we had Pluto in Capricorn and it's now moved into Aquarius temporarily, it's going to shift back out again, and it is going to remain there for quite an extensive time. I believe we're kind of dealing with two situations here. This can be wrapping up an old cycle in our lives. We still may have some kind of interconnection to it, but we're having a revelation that it no longer resonates with us. This could be moving home, this could be moving jobs, and suddenly we can feel to a degree we're having to rip things down, change them about, tie up those loose ends and move forward. And I do feel between now and next month, it's going to be a little bit interesting, especially from this juggling point of view. But I do spiritually feel if there has been any juggling within these connections, I feel at the moment, it's almost like drawing a line in the sand and, sort of a decision being made. There also could be, there could be a circumstance here of an individual who is giving advice to both masculine and feminine. But I do feel for many of you, you are feeling it's divine masculine's move. And what you want to see is the person being happy. You're wanting to see the person to be more open, nurturing and loving. And I feel you would feel a hell of a lot safer if you had seen that. For some of you, it could mean that these individuals in the last few weeks, and it can even be the last few months, to be perfectly honest, into 2023, these individuals might have gone into hermit mode all of a sudden. They could have felt like, just all of a sudden, like a ghost, I'll be gone. I don't feel that's remaining. I do feel it was due to the transits. As we do look at divine masculine's energy, they're very much in their head at the moment, and there could be this pickle that they're directly dealing with, and it can feel very scattered. They also do know, they know what they want, but they're quite pixelated. So they're feeling as though they need to get out of their head. They need to stop panicking. They need to think more clearly. They need to speak. But there can be some psychological blockages that they're directly dealing with at this point in time. I do feel a circumstance to do with the past and within the joint connection. There could have been some wounds and trigger points that did come up in relationship to the joint connection. This, for some of them, might have felt as though it was moving along very smoothly. Their feelings towards it, they were becoming very open. And I do feel in the heart of hearts, they already have made a decision, but they're also hoping that universe will bless them with opening these roads to make this decision that they've made a hell of a lot easier. Sometimes that can look like giving their power away. And the reason I say that is because sometimes if we do have direct power, but we don't want to be the bad guy, we're hoping and praying that universe will, create a tower or create a door so that we can exit stage. I do feel this person, to a degree, in a circumstance, isn't innocent. I do feel they are genuine. They're trying to correct a path, correct a situation. I also do feel at a particular kind of aspect of their path, some of you make mention of the fact that you find that these individuals are giving a lot to the karmic. And, the big question mark can be, why are they doing that? There is a spiritual test that these individuals do learn, and it is in the way in which they treated you previously. The karmic lesson inside a karmic cycle, and again, it doesn't have to be a romantic partnership. It could be a workplace. It could be a family-related dynamic. It could be an internal trigger. Whatever this is, it tends to be one of those circumstances where they have to do it correctly. So they have to exit stage correctly. They see the thing through. Why is that? Because they may have done something polar opposite to you, and they're walking a mile in your shoes to close that karmic chapter. And that's so that they effectively had made peace with it. They've seen both sides of the coin, and so that pattern never again spiritually is repeated. And I do see this person returning to innocence. I do see this person really understanding that from a foundation level. Things are getting quite difficult, but they're definitely looking towards the past here. They're very nostalgic. They did make a decision. They were really wanting to move forward. They can be very in their head at the moment, especially with Pluto really causing a lot of havoc for some of us, that these old karmic situational ships cropped back up again unannounced with that Mercury retrograde and Pluto transiting out of Capricorn. I feel as we're moving into February, the shake-up and the wake-up of these circumstances can come. I do see from foundation level, we can see that this already in the status quo is at the Ten of Wands, which is very difficult. It's unmanageable. Something has to go. This could be the pain relating to a previous connection. It also can be with whom they trust. One way that you can really turn the ship around is when you're communicating with these individuals, for you that are really making it a safe space, that you don't not say anything, but you definitely get it to a point where if you have something to say, you're saying, this is how the situation made me feel. I'm not saying that that's what your intention was, but that's how I received such. That gives them an opportunity to realize, okay, this is not a physical attack. This is a statement piece. And what they do with that information is theirs then. To take ownership of, because a lot of times inside a karmic relationship, there is, whether they've done something wrong or whether they haven't, there's a lot of projection. And so the PTSD within these connections can come about, which inadvertently will cause conflicts between masculine and feminine. So navigating that situation is going to be quite key. I definitely do see these individuals realizing who their tribe is. And I think Pluto in Aquarius is really going to bring that about collectively. Spiritually, I also feel they're trying to give themselves some space to get grounded to make these decisions. They can be making a major decision. This also could be in reference to a marriage, their path forward, but also wanting to be faithful to the connection and actually physically learning this lesson well and truly. Now, divine feminine here in the mix. Again, I do think, I don't know why I keep getting this psychically, but I'm picking up a lot of crap to do with family. I don't, and it's not that I'm saying family is crap. It's just, it can be a lot at the moment. It can be a lot going on the home front. It can be a lot to do with creativity. You can feel as though you need to nurture yourself at this point. And for those of you that have children, there can be a lot of that going on with you also. I'm noticing from the past position, there could have been a great deal of healing, especially for those of you that had loved ones on the other side. Intuitively, I feel these energies were coming through and trying to support you. I do feel you're being elevated to another level. I also feel for some of you, you're wondering where your life's going to be. You're really feeling this pain in relationship to the separation. Some of you also could have had triggers and memories coming up to do with past tense romantic partners. Again, I do believe Pluto in Capricorn has been helping us revisit those circumstances. It is going to lighten as we do proceed forward, but some of you could feel a little bit negative. Some of you could feel you've had to do everything on your own, and maybe this person has sailed their ship and they're, just happy doing their thing and they're never going to leave a circumstance. For some of you, I do feel you could be feeling some of their energy because you're tuning into it psychically, because they are energetically really looking at how to liberate themselves out of these circumstances. I do feel there can be some trust issues cropping up here. And it doesn't mean to say you need to go and wear angels fair to tread, but I feel at this point there can be these feelings that you really do feel that you have been really quite disrespected, let down, and misunderstood to a degree. And I feel because there is this upheaval in your life, you're like, okay, I'm going to be assertive. I know what I'm worth now. I think this is actually causing the change. I do feel you may need to be cautious with, throwing the metaphoric baby out with the bathwater. Some of you, again, and this came through earlier, especially in some of the super chats, there can be this feeling that we feel quite cursed. There can be a feeling that we have bad luck. And, when is this curse going to lift inside this connection? I don't actually believe there is a curse within the connection. I do believe at a point in the journey, we do actually really, really, truly believe that karmics have a hell of a lot of power over the circumstance. When we actually liberate ourselves personally out of karmic dynamics and realize we can be the fly on the wall and observe it, and we still can be away from harm's way, and it is permission based, we realize that individual also psychologically, physically, and emotionally will do exactly the same. They will realize that it's permission based, that we owe nobody anything, and we can liberate ourselves. We can be fair, we can be empathetic and understanding. But I just do really feel that's where they're coming to. And I feel for some of you, you can be having this huge revelation at this point that, you really don't want drama in your life. You really do want to have success, and you're knuckling down to get things done. I do feel the North Node in Aries was going to be almost like a men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And it was going to be a bit like the War of the Roses. And it's because feminines are transforming. We're having these major conversations, which I do directly believe it's going to come up throughout the whole year, of equalities and personal needs and feelings. And, us embodying both the masculine and the feminine on both sides of the fence, so this connection can be conducive. Some of you are feeling this person's playing about. Again, I do feel this is a closing of a karmic cycle, not a re-entering into. Some of you do run the risk of moving into a connection for karmic reasons. And, only you can tell in your path, and no path is wrong. I can absolutely tell you that now. If there is a feeling you're having that, you want to play for keeps, you want to play it safe, and something feels more spiritually in alignment with you, it can be because that's where you are. Sometimes we spiritually need to have a break from it. And we can, people that we do have come into our life are for a given reason. So for some of you, it could be that you're seeking that connection and desiring a connection, and it can be that somebody is coming towards you. I do feel for some of you, you're needing a break, you're needing a holiday. There also could be, as you are tuning into a new individual, suddenly it can be that divine masculine comes in. And some of you could really feel, every time you get your life together, this person shows up. And why is that so? It is because you are in detachment at that point. And that's very much the key to moving into reunion, is getting to a point that you don't put your life on hold, that it's not even trusting it. It's being so present in the here and now that actually can come towards you. And you'll find generally, if you can hold that standpoint for about a week, you'll have a huge trigger. Why is that? It's because the person directly is spiritually connected to you, and because you are triggering them, because you've moved into detachment, and anything they were holding on to and stagnant with, it shakes that up and it shifts it to a point they're physically moving. Now, if you do want coaching, you can come through. We do host these through the members, pre-released, if you do want the next edition. I also do have the main page ones up as well. And for the super chats, we host them weekly at this point. I may change it to once a month on the main platform and once a month in the members. And that's so I can get the new content coming through for the twin flame path and all the psychic things that I want to develop. So I'll keep you posted for that. However, I do provide bookings through the website. So all the information for bookings, coaching, etc. is directly below if that is something that you are needing. I hope you enjoyed the update. Tell me how this resonated with you. Share it with a friend if you feel they're going through this. And I'll see you soon.